on their schedule. They get up for that game, and that will be tonight will be the first example of that. But it really comes down to once the ceremony is over, that's behind us. And it's time to play a basketball game, and we have to be the aggressors.
Frank, what have you thought about from the lineup perspective, and how did that come together as what you saw in the preseason games?
Yeah, we're going to look at a lot of different combinations. We're going to hold the lineup until 30 minutes prior, and this whole first month to 6 weeks of our season is going to be about exploring different lineups and combinations. So we'll be creative with it. We'll learn a little bit more about our team and focus on our habits.
Is there one point of emphasis tonight, Frank, that's atop the scouting report when you look at yourself and you look at this Clippers roster?
Well, for us and for the Clippers, we're going to keep them off the free throw line. We spend an exorbitant amount of time for the last couple of days watching, sort of all the tricks that they use, to hook your arm or use shot fakes. They're very good at getting to the line. Number one in the league last year at getting to the free throw line. So we have to play with great discipline. If we put them to the line all night, it's going to be a long night for us.
Bill Orm.
Hey, Frank, everyone's basketball journey is different, but, for you specifically, I'm wondering what it means to you to have this moment to get a championship ring for the first time. And then, especially with the way last season was, to kind of maybe put the final culmination of what last season was to everybody that was part of it. Just can you put that in words?
Yeah, well, it's still very surreal for me, and I don't really know if it ever really hits you. It's what you dream about. It's what you work towards your whole career. I'm just happy for my family, who's made out so many sacrifices, to allow me to have these opportunities. I'm grateful to the league for letting us finish the season, creating the bubble environment that they had. And for me, it's just something. It's a great source of pride for me.
Dan?
Hey, Frank. Obviously, when you imagine this moment of winning, you didn't imagine it in a building full of just us. I'm sure you wish there were more important people here than us. How surreal is this going to be, do you think? Did the preseason prepare you for just how surreal it is to kind of start this journey in an empty Staples Center?
I think the bubble prepared us for it. It's different than the bubble, but it's playing games in Staples Center with no fans is more like the bubble than it is anything else. It's still slightly different than the bubble. It's just the nature of the times we're in. We're living in a pandemic, and it's just the nature of that. So, we try to block that out, focus on the task at hand, and go out there and compete for W's.
Is there a particular part of your game day routine? You mentioned the drive-in, but I'm just curious, even walking around from where you park to the locker room and stuff, is there a particular part of it that is even more weird than anything else?
I don't know if there really is. I think just once you walk out onto the floor, I don't spend a lot of time out there pregame, where guys are warming up and the fans aren't quite in the building yet. But when you walk out there, obviously when the Staples Center is packed, there's a buzz. There's just no other way to put it, and that's absent. But it doesn't take away from the fact that coaching the NBA champs, and we got an opportunity to defend our title beginning tonight, and that's enough for me to get up for the game.
Kyle?
Hey, Frank. Obviously, you and your family made a ton of sacrifices in the bubble environment, and I'm sure it's difficult to not have all the family you want here tonight. Is there some sort of recognition for what they kind of did in the long haul, the bubble, what that was for them, that you guys have kind of recognized within your own family?
I try to shout about as much as I can when we're doing interviews, because they have given up a lot, not just the bubble, but my daughters in particular, my wife moving throughout my career to this point, and to have this opportunity. So just tell them I love them as much as I can.
Mark?
Hey Frank, good to see you. Now that you had a few preseason games, is there any extra clarity on how you want to use LeBron these next few weeks, first few weeks of the season?
Fairly similar to what we would do in a regular season. I do want to just peel back on his minutes as much as possible. The risk of peeling back his minutes too much is, for me and just in talking to our medical team, is you want to just keep him in rhythm as much as possible. And if he's out there for long stretches, that's when it becomes riskier. Or if he's on the bench for too long of a stretch and has to come back in cold, that's where they're riskier situations. So we have a rotation built in for him where he plays more short bursts, gets shorter rest, and stays within what his body's used to.
Dave? Dave, you there?
Yeah, I'd unmute. Hey, Frank, what are you most looking forward to out of Anthony this year in terms of his development from year one with you and your staff?
Well, I think one thing I've noticed and I'm hopeful will develop with him is his leadership. He's really this year, where it was sort of system implementation, learning new teammates, learning new coaching staff. This year, he's one of the guys that's bringing all the new guys together to show them how we do things and finishing my sentences, as I'm implementing certain things. And I think there's just a comfort level there. Obviously he's the best defender in the world, so I want him to just be himself on that end of the floor. I do want to keep encouraging him to grow and with his aggressiveness at the 3-point line. Shot 38% in the playoffs last year. Was a big reason why we won the championship because of that. That space that he gives us, and he did that on 3 attempts a game. I like to see that number getting a little higher. It just puts a lot of pressure on defenses for long closeouts with his ability to put the ball on the floor. So we'll continue to grow those areas, but I think the leadership piece is one of the things I've noticed from last year this year. It's growing.
Thanks.
Okay, last 2 questions here. Bill Flashkey?
Yeah, Frank, in the last couple months, because the city's been so shut down, have you been able to feel any of the love and gratitude and joy people felt over the championship, or not really?
I've felt it at times, but
like where and how?
Where and how? It's where they close down restaurants. I would feel it when we would go out to dine. Grocery stores, Target, things like that. People come up and just thank you, for what we were able to do. But it's just obviously not nearly as much as if we were in normal times.
Thank you.
Claudia?
Yeah, Frank, most players on this team can play different positions. How much confidence do you have in putting many different looks on the floor?
I have a lot of confidence in a lot of different ways we can go. It's one of the things we did in practice last week where we just literally just tried out a bunch of different lineup combinations, and it seemed like they all worked. There was positives to all of them. I'm sure there's going to be bumps in the road throughout the course of the season, but there's a lot of different ways we can go that I have a great deal of confidence in.
Okay, last question, Kari.
How you doing, Coach? You had talked about, the first 2 months, you guys going to be switching to different lineups. Can you elaborate on more about that? Is it because it was a short season and you guys just won? You guys still figuring things out?
Yeah, we have new tools, new weapons, and we want to see how they fit with what we're doing. And but I do think what you mentioned is probably the biggest reason why for that is that we didn't play a lot of preseason games. We didn't have a month to evaluate these guys playing pickup ball with each other, and the preseason was condensed. So a lot of the stuff that we would typically have answers to at this point we don't. And it's just going to be one of those things where you just learn about your team while you're playing games that matter.